5's Chad Petrie has the story.
When you get a fast food meal, no one expects to be called a little ugly dude.
We get the
MICAH Beats activated.
Welcome to Just Therapy, where we talk about life with a comedy twist. With your hosts, comedian Sean Boyd, Antonio Ferguson, and Miss KT. We talk about a whole bunch of shit from politics to people actually taking shits. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the therapy session. Man, this be dope. Make a motherfucker want to rap. I can't rap, man. Hold on, here we go. I can't rap. I really can't. But come sit down on the couch with us. Man, I can't rap. Come to the couch. Enjoy the show. Let's go. Just another day on the couch, talking about all the problems of today. Yes, we are back in the building with another episode of Just Therapy, the podcast. It is another beautiful Monday evening, y'all. Yes. Hopefully you enjoyed your work Monday, but we are here to end your Monday off with some therapy on the couch. So thanks for joining us. And as always, I got my co-host with the mostest with me, Miss BBC. What up, sis?
Greetings. Welcome back. Oh my goodness. It feels really good to be back. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. A little tired today because I got up a little early today, but I'm blessed. Can't complain. That's whatsoever. Trying something different. I'm on the actual couch today, so I'm kind of lounging and look like I'm sitting on the brown couch that's on my background. So
it really does look like that.
Yeah. I feel like I'm far away from the screen, but it is what it is.
It kind of look like you're sitting on your own lap.
Yeah, I am. I'm sitting on my own lap. So there we go. Now I got my
right. That's how the thing goes.
Yeah. So yes, welcome back. So how you been, sis?
I have been. I'm really in great spirit, great vibes. I can't even lie. Even through the ups and downs. I mean, I'm saying everything's a strategy. How about you?
You said what? What was the last part?
How about you?
Oh, how about me? I'm good. Like I said, I can't complain. Nice little break from the podcast, and we haven't been doing nothing, just hanging with little mama and chilling.
Summer break now, so y'all don't have to get up so early.
Yeah, you ain't gotta get up too early, so just kind of it's vacation time. You know what I'm saying? I'm still getting paid, doing what I do, but
right.
It's a little different being in these YMCA summer camps, but. Because it's summer camp. Let's talk to them for 10 minutes and then play games with them.
Absolutely. Play some sports.
Whole hour. That shit's stupid to me.
Dang. You'll work it out.
Yeah, I guess so. So. But I am here. We are back. You got me excited to do this episode because we are celebrating Father's Day and Men's Mental Health Month. June is Men's Mental Health Month. And you already know how we feel about mental health on this show. Girl, quit yelling, please.
There's a vampire in there.
It's a baby. She said baby reindeer. It's just a deer, but
it's a baby reindeer.
No,
I get it.
It's a baby deer. So
you don't know. You haven't even met him. You don't even know.
We actually talking about mental health, so you don't want to lie to yourself. That's part of mental health. So it is Men's Mental Health Month. Father's Day was yesterday. Hopefully, all the dope dads I know had a great Father's Day. I know a lot of dope dads out there, man. And I put that post up yesterday, and it it's just I started to tag some, but I'm like, it is way too many to tag. And that made me feel good because I know a lot of dope fathers, man, because a lot of men we get shitted on. So, but I do know a lot of dope fathers. So happy Father's Day to all the dope fathers I know. Hopefully you enjoyed Joe Day. I know I did. Sis surprised me with some flowers Saturday. I got the flowers Saturday, so that was pretty cool. So I seen those when I got home, put them in the water real quick. And so that was cool. And then when I went outside, I was about to jump in the car with KT, and I'm like, "Who the hell put a card on my car?" And I'm tripping. I'm like, I hear people in my driveway, so you can't be in my driveway without me hearing you come up my driveway. So I'm, who put a card on my car? And lo and behold, it was my neighbor, the only neighbor I got, because the other neighbor, they too far away. So. But it was my neighbor, and that was cool. So what up, sis? KT in the building. What up? Thanks for chiming in. What up? So yeah, he had left me a card with $20 in it, but the note in the card was it was cool, man. I really appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Having that card, and it just meant a lot for my neighbor to do that, knowing he didn't have to do that. I'll tell you, I'll read y'all what the card said real quick. You gotta go through my thing. Okay, so it said to one of the best dads I know, and one little girl thinks you're the best dad ever. Sometimes it's just nice to hear it. You're doing a great job. And I was like,
oh my goodness, I would have been in tears.
So so that was dope.
Yeah, that's really, really dope.
Yeah, and then hung out with sis like this whole weekend. She said, "Love y'all, about to go. I got Bible study. All right, enjoy Bible study, sis."
Girl, pray for me. Pray for all the people that they call it the bosses. Please pray for Miss Cousin. Pray for me. We'll talk in the group. But yeah.
So just hung out with KT this weekend. Friday I had softball Friday. Well, I had to work at the Y. Went to see my uncle Chev, and then had softball later on, and we ended up winning both games. It started pouring. Well, not pouring, like it was a constant drizzle the whole entire game. Then it started pouring. So that was Friday. Then Saturday, hung out, ate good. And then same with yesterday, hung out, ate good. So it was cool. Nice roundabout Father's Day weekend, man. So it was good.
Yeah, no, that's dope. I mean, I know, especially for you and KT, because that's your sister, and I know when y'all don't get to hang out as much as y'all used to, and it's just like good when you get to hang out with fam. You know what I'm saying? Like just vibe. It don't matter who around or whatever. It's just like when you get to hang out with family, that's amazing. It is really good for mental health as well. I'm so glad that you had an amazing Father's Day. Because that's important. And I had wrote up a post on Facebook. I don't know if you've seen it. And I try to send out happy Father's Days to a couple of people. It's really hard because we have a massive amount of amazing fathers, and I think it's not bigged up enough. Father's Day is the least celebrated holiday.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
I wrote up a post and I was saying the greatest thing about the most amazing thing about beings is that we once lived in our father and our mother.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't even realize that, you live in your father first, and you live up in your father for up to 74 to 80 days, right? So that's a couple of weeks. And then once, him and whoever the mother end up being, you know what I'm saying? Once that, it's like over 400 and like it's over between 40 and 400 million sperms.
Yeah.
And then the most aggressive, the most, you know what I'm saying, abundant person, the one that get to the egg, becomes us.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. You once lived in your father, and the father, the seed comes from the father, and the father is the least celebrated. Fathers, and this is why I celebrate fathers so abundantly. I've been with you as a father, around or whatever like that. Like me and baby girl made a whole music video and a whole movie in her bedroom. Like she has like the most amazing just being like watching you with her, watching, with the energy, like my daughter's father, like it's so many amazing fathers around in the music industry, all that. And it's just like, I think they should be celebrated more. I think fathers deserve flowers. Fathers deserve breakfast in bed just as much as mothers do, and I don't care what he did with you or whatever like that. And I'm talking about real fathers. I'm not talking about sickos and molesters and everything like that or whatever. I'm talking about real dads, real groomers, real, kings that make their daughter princesses and make sure their kids, try to, have an abundant life and do their best when they even can't do it financially. You know what I'm saying? Like still show up. So I really push that when I go all out for fathers. Like I go out for fathers like I go out for mothers. And I didn't do it extreme this year like I usually do it. But I still like, that's the one thing I want to say to every father. Like, man, you are blessed. You are amazing. And I appreciate you. For real, for real.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's dope. The flowers was a nice touch. I ain't even gonna lie, that was some dope flowers. So just to get some flowers for Father's Day was something I've never experienced before. That was a first. And then, to get a card from my neighbor, like, two different people, celebrating me as a dad, which was cool as hell. And like I put in my post yesterday, I'm only a good dad because God blessed me with a great dad. You know what I'm saying? Like my father was a shit, man. He was a really, really great dad. And he was a great dad in his own way. You know what I'm saying? Some dads, go see they, kids play whatever sports or whatever and coach them up and, stuff like that. But sometimes it's the wrong way. Sometimes it's the right way. Sometimes it's the wrong way. But just being just a dope dad, period. It's not about the presents that you give your kids. It's about being present for your kids. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't about the money and all that. It's about being present for them and being there for them. You know what I'm saying? So, just celebrating dope dads yesterday, man. And I sent some messages out individually. It's like, especially people I really rock with, you know what I'm saying? I got members too and stuff like that. And we like talk at least, once, twice, 3 times a year, you know what I'm saying? Some of the other people I know who are dope dads. So we don't communicate as much, but I know them and see them out there shining on Facebook with their kids. So, just always want to, uplift them and, you know what I'm saying? And support them and, just do a good job. So it's cool. I like seeing it and like being around it, you know what I'm saying? Because I like I said, I had a great dad. So, I'm just trying to be I'm a good dad because I had a great dad. You know what I'm saying? And thanking God that with the dad he blessed me with. You know what I'm saying? Because I know a lot of people that did not, meet their dad until they were teenagers or grown or never met him. You know what I'm saying?
Or had dads in their life that were horrible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Abusers or monsters or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So trust me, it's a lot. But I look up to, and not just dads, stepdads, father figures, grandpas, dope ass uncles, you know what I'm saying? The homie in the neighborhood that made sure that I got to school, even when I was trying to cut school, like, no, you better go ahead, little mama, do what you gotta do. Like those people, because we all need that father energy. I really miss my father. He wasn't the greatest, trust me. He was a monster. But still, you know what I'm saying? Like he still was good sometimes too. But my papa, I miss my papa so much. Like I love that man so much. And I just like, no, you know what I'm saying? I had a lot of men in my life and still have a lot of men in my life, which I'm grateful for, that I can say, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really had masculine energy. I've been taught a lot by the masculine energy and everything like that. So I'm always grateful that I've had that in all shapes and forms and sizes and different energies.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely get it. So, big up to all the dope dads and dope stepdads and uncles that stepped up to be dads and father figures and all of them. They all deserve their flowers. You're absolutely right. All right. Speaking of flowers, let's go ahead and do some flowers while they still here. We like to give people flowers while they still here instead of being conditioned, like most of us are, to give people flowers while they dead and gone. So I definitely want to give flowers to you and my neighbor. Like I said, it was dope to get some flowers, and I didn't know what was coming. You was like, but you gonna be there, and I'm like, nah, but and you like, should they drop it off? I'm like, I mean, if it's a delivery service, yeah, they should. But receiving those flowers, like that meant a lot, and just to get that from you was very appreciated, and definitely got to shout out my neighbor for the car and the little and not little, but the $20 he gave me in the car. Well appreciated. So just got to give y'all flowers just because y'all definitely made my day. Receiving those things for Father's Day. So definitely got to give y'all flowers. So flowers well deserved.
That's cool. That's cool. Flowers well deserved. I will kill you. I'm sorry, it's a fly. He keep bothering me. Father, I want to give my I really want to give my flowers out to because I had a really good yesterday. I wanted to give my flower. I was like, who I'm gonna give my flowers to? And then today I'm just like, wow. I want to give my flowers out to all the kids that their fathers could not be in their life. I mean, like, they couldn't spend Father's Day with them. Kids that, lost their fathers, and especially within this year and this last year or whatever like that. I want to give my flowers to them because I can't even imagine the feeling. I know I lost my dad, don't get me wrong, but it's been so many years that I feel like I thought about, Rail, you know what I'm saying, and his kids and how he was at every basketball game. And I was thinking about a friend of mine. She lost her husband at the beginning of this year. Well, not the beginning of this year. And, I'm thinking those kids had to, endure their first Father's Day without their father, and many more. But so I'm going to give my fathers to those children and those, families that had to be without their father or grandfather or anything this year. Carlos Jones, also, a lot of people lost fathers this year, and it is very emotional, very hard to deal with, especially when you hit, I know, I know, when you hit that first Father's Day or that first Mother's Day. I don't know about mothers, but I do know about fathers. It is very emotional. So my fathers go to you guys.
Absolutely. Flowers well deserved. Flowers well deserved. Yeah, it definitely hit different, like both of them, your first Mother's Day or your first, because mine was first Father's Day without my dad, and then then the following one was first Mother's Day without my mom. So yeah, it definitely hits different, because I was thinking just the other day, like, I will always go see him and, pop up on him. And my thing was I will always buy him some new kicks. You know what I'm saying? That was my thing for my dad. I used to buy him some fresh Nikes for Father's Day, because he wouldn't buy shoes for himself. So, he always got a new pair out of me every year. That was my thing when I was able to, actually buy something for my dad. You know what I'm saying? Because he was so chill and so low key, man. So mine was always, a card with some fresh shoes. And he used to always appreciate him too. He'd be like, "Oh man, thanks, man." Like, he's like, and then he would be like, "Oh, because I ain't buying nothing for myself." And I'm like, I know, Pops, that's why I got you. So, this was looking a little old, so I got you some fresh kicks. So that was cool. Lately, that you mentioned rail, like 2 days strong in a row. He's been heavy on my heart. So especially it's coming up on the 30th, and I keep replaying the 30th in my head. That was the last time we got to kick it. You know what I'm saying? And it's almost, God would made sure I had my last supper. You know what I'm saying? With somebody that was near and dear to me. So it's coming up on that. So that's getting heavy on my heart. So yeah, definitely flowers well deserved to all the people. So let's get into it. It is Men's Mental Health Month. Thank you, Couchers, for tuning in. You want to chime in? I'll throw it up on the screen. I see we got some people in here already. I can't tell who it is because it's not like how Facebook do it, where I can see who in there or whatever like that. But thanks for chiming in. And going out of your way to go to YouTube to watch us. So I appreciate that. But Men's Mental Health Month, we gonna do a couple episodes this month, some back-to-back episodes. We did back-to-back Mondays in a minute, but I definitely wanted to celebrate and shine a light on men's mental health this month, because mental health, especially for me, is a big thing. And we're gonna address some stuff this week, and we'll address some stuff next week. Hopefully we can get a guest to come in one of these weeks before we wrap up men's mental health. Today I actually got a mahogany shirt on. If y'all can see it, it is men's, like it's literally a men's mental health t-shirt. On the back it has a big picture on there, and it says it's okay to talk unless there's a deer around. And I like it, even though I don't hunt. I like it. I understand it. You know what I'm saying? It's real understandable. Because when you go hunting, you got to be quiet. But it says it is okay to talk unless there's a deer around, which so many of us men don't want to open up and be transparent, because a lot of men want to say, "Oh, I don't want to be vulnerable." I want to be vulnerable because it can be used against me. My thing is, I don't want people to be vulnerable, because when you're vulnerable, something can happen. Not like, not saying. So let me break it down. You don't have to be vulnerable. That's the thing. Because when you really think about vulnerability and being vulnerable, like you don't want to like not have a peace if somebody come around your house. You know what I'm saying? That's being vulnerable. You don't want to know how to de-escalate something if you don't have the tools to actually de-escalate it. That's like vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Transparent is what I want men to be. Transparent. Be open. You know what I'm saying? And transparent with your feelings, because you don't want to keep that bottled up. Because like I tell these kids I talk to, your emotions are literally like that pop bottle experiment. You shake up a pop bottle and you open it, it's going to explode all over you, and somebody standing next to you is going to get on them too. So you want to be able to talk. Yes, a lot of people have trauma. Yes, a lot of people have PTSD, especially in, on how you grew up. And a lot of people don't look at it as it is PTSD, but it really is PTSD. There's a lot of traumatic stuff that we seen growing up, and people, I lost a lot of people before 18, a lot of people before 21. That is very traumatic, but you don't think about it that way until you get, a little wiser in age and getting to know what really trauma is. Can you, cause like it's gonna be like I'm gonna be in and out on a whole bunch of stuff, so I don't want to leave you out. Just that part about vulnerability versus transparent, and then the trauma aspect. Can you give us a little bit on that?
Yeah, okay. Like when you said as far as not being vulnerable, I think that sometimes you have to be vulnerable to be transparent. And I'm not saying let your guard down, but you know what I'm saying, at a simple point, and this is just what my experience, even especially with the masculine energy, but even for myself, I never wanted to not be prepared. I needed my hand on the trigger at all times. I was always still so guarded, so protected or whatever like that. And me not allowing myself to be vulnerable, I couldn't make progress within my therapy because I was always just, who wants, you ain't getting in here. Anybody, put your hands up, everybody down, type energy. So I think that sometimes you have to be vulnerable to be transparent. But the one thing that I have learned is the only way that you can actually be vulnerable is if you feel safe. And what is happening, especially with a lot of men, and I've been seeing a lot of therapy sessions and a lot of podcasts talking about this because I really had dove into this for a while, but I have, stopped. And since this month was coming, I dove into it and I was watching a lot of situations. And like the one football player, I forget his name, but what is his name? He was saying after he got kicked out of football, he literally had to start all over. And the first 5 years of his marriage, it was shitty. Like they couldn't get right. And it wasn't because of, money or cheating or anything like that. It was like because he did not feel safe enough with his wife to be vulnerable with her, to be able to express what was bothering his hurts and pains and what. So he would like lock up, go in the bathroom, cry and get himself together, come back out, or he would just be like always in this vibe because he didn't feel safe enough with her to be vulnerable with her, to be able to express, to be transparent with her, to be able to express what he needed to express that was bothering him or what he was going through or how he felt weak as a man when he felt like he wasn't providing anymore or whatever like that. So I think that sometimes you do need vulnerability to be able to be transparent, to be able to even hold yourself accountable for what is going on with you mentally and spiritually or whatever. So but I also agree with you as far as you know what I'm saying? I think you just have to find a difference. Sometimes you have to separate the trauma from what's going on. And sometimes most people live with that together. And with most men, because men are stripped of their emotions so young, they don't know how to separate the two.
No, absolutely. So the reason why I say vulnerable, right? The definition of vulnerable: susceptible to physical or emotional attack or harm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a vulnerable position, right? So that's why I'm telling men not to, you don't have to be vulnerable. We want you to be transparent, because when you're transparent, you're able to talk about your feelings and talk about what's going on. Because a lot of men don't realize there are so many men that have been through or experienced what they have, but they don't want to be transparent enough to be able to talk to someone that has been through that, and they can tell them, hey, this is what I did to get through it. You might not be able to get through it the same way, but you can use some of these steps to get to that point where you can heal. And that's what I mean by vulnerable.
Mm.
And that's why I say transparent over vulnerable. So that's why I wanted to break that down for you on exactly what I meant by.
No, I know what you meant. I really knew what you meant as far as the definition, but sometimes I've been taught to step outside of, the words, and step outside of like what that is. It's like because it some words can fit different scenarios. But I get what you meant.
Correct. Okay. All right, and let's break down what I was talking about with the trauma. A lot of people don't realize they have PTSD, but they actually do have it.
Now, with that, what's so crazy is, and I think we've discussed this before. A lot of people don't. It's like they suppress their trauma,
Correct.
in such a way where, like me, I'm just using me for instance, because you can't speak for everybody, but. And I just know people like this too, especially with men. Men especially suppress their traumas, especially if it has to do with like being touched or abused or, in such a way or whatever like that, because that they see it as a weakness. Or some people thrive off the pain. Some people need their trauma to keep pushing. And they use it where they don't even realize that they're using their trauma to move forward. But then it's a blockage because it's like, it's a blockage or baggage that they carry with them. So in such a ways, a lot of people don't realize how, like, why can't I find a good relationship? Or why can't I be successful and at work or whatever like that? Because their trauma had them on defense. It's like, when you suppress so much in your life, a lot of people forget stuff that they went through because they push it down. And then they become overly aggressive or overly, distant or blocked, or people feel like, oh, I'm an introvert. I don't like to go around people. I don't trust niggas. I don't this and whatever like that. It's because of trauma. Somebody made you feel like that. Something make you feel like I can't trust somebody. I can't, be in this position. It's trauma. And a lot of people are moving with trauma every day and they're not surviving and they're not, elevating because they're not recognizing a trauma or they do recognize it, but they're not allowing it to be, what I'm looking for? Like they're not allowing themselves to work on it,
Right. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, that's real because I see a lot of men. I work with a lot of men, especially in music, like you dealing with a lot of different, masculine energies, a lot of different males or whatever like that. I have males that are my clients, especially for massage therapy and everything like that. Even males that I go to yoga with and go to workout with, everybody has been through something. And it may be some people that have never been through nothing and they have no idea why people react the way they do. But you see a lot of males that, it's definitely hard for feminine energy, don't get me wrong, but it's so hard for males that have not had the chance to be or haven't felt safe enough to be able to express their trauma, and sometimes with women, when they're trying to express them with them, you don't know if they're going to use it against you or you talking about your trauma and she trying to figure out what it got to do with her, or you're trying to express your trauma and they're like, well, I see times I have a lot of male friends that express their traumas with me and they have wives, but they feel like they can't express their trauma. Like they feel safe enough with me, which is crazy but at the same time, I get it because they need a safe space,
Mm-hmm.
And I always want to be that because I know how hard it is for them to express trauma or frustration or, situations that they need to express, like, a certain form of trauma when somebody get a promotion or their birthday is coming up and everybody like, oh, your birthday coming up or whatever like that, and they like, oh, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? That they have been so traumatized they can't even celebrate themselves, or they be like, oh yeah, I got a promotion, and you're like, what? That's a big deal. Like, oh, you know, yeah, they're gonna pay me $1 million or whatever or something. That is a trauma because they're not used to being celebrated, or they feel guilty about making it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember the thing with what's his name? Omar, no, not Omar Epps, but Mike Epps. When he was saying,
remorse.
huh?
Survivor's remorse.
Oh my goodness. That is the most traumatic thing, one of the most traumatic things that I've heard many men talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a form of mental health. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that I always revert back to that story with a lot of my masculine energy, like, you know, and he was destroying himself so that it wouldn't even go out towards other people or situations or whatever like that. Like, I'm gonna destroy myself so that they will love me and they will like me and they'll see me as a messed up, you know what I'm saying? Because they think they messed up, so they don't think I'm good enough for them. You know, like being from the same hood, going through stuff, being, you know, messed up in the world, people on drugs, seeing, you know, people get killed in his family, all those things. And you hear about that and people will brush that off. Man, when he was telling that story, that sat in my heart till this day. And then it's a Jamaican artist that was telling a story about how when he lived with his mom and how he had never been loved so beautifully and amazing. He had never really been disciplined. And somehow his mom sent him to go live with his father. And his father was so fucking blood. He was so abusive to this boy. He beat him and then poured him in the bath and then poured salt in all his wounds.
Mm.
You know, like, and he's like now a singer or whatever like that, but constantly he said he got beat every day, beat for getting beat. And then he would put lemon and salt in his wounds and like, fuck you kind of energy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like, why take them? Why, you know, why? And when he was telling that story, I bawled. I cried and I just cried so hard because, and he was crying as he told the story. You know what I'm saying? On video, crying as he told the story. That's trauma. You know what I'm saying? How do you trust somebody after that when you came from this man's seed? You feel me? Like, this is your father. You look just like the man. And then he beat you every day and then tortured you. You know what I'm saying? And then how could he be for his kids or be for a woman if he never deal with that trauma?
Yeah, if you don't deal with it, you're not going to be able to. Like, you have to take the steps to try to heal. Now,
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to heal all the way because, like I said, they are scars. The scars is still there. But you are taking the steps to better yourself, to be a better man for yourself and the people around you.
Indeed.
Until people are able to unpack some of the things they went through, they're going to be no good for themselves, let alone anybody else.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times once you are able to, you know, be on that process of healing, you can look back at certain stuff when you got to think, how was his father raised? He got beat every single day. You know what I'm saying? So when you're able to address the underlining issues, you will be able to be in a better place to be able to try to heal and try to mend some of them wounds that you know saying that are there. You know, that's why I keep recommending this book to all the men I run into. It don't matter if you black or white. Like, this book is for all men. It's called The Man the Moment Demands by Jason Wilson. And we go break down some of this book. I can't break it down all. I've listened to it 4 times because it was just that good. What did you want me to do?
Close it.
Oh, close it. Okay. Sorry, y'all. But it is so powerful, and it talks and it gives you so much insight on different things where like it's almost because like it's about manhood, it's about mental health, it's about trying to heal, trying to be a more comprehensive man, trying to feel your emotions, not being emotionally incarcerated as so many of us men and some women are, and how to just be, how to love yourself. Because when you really think about it, there's a lot of people who just don't love themselves.
It's true.
Because of what they've been through, or the mistakes they made, or they passed, or I couldn't get this marriage right. I couldn't get this relationship right. I couldn't, I didn't raise my kids the way I wanted to raise them, or I failed this way. But they're emotionally incarcerated. There is no playbook to being a parent, first off. So we are going to make mistakes. You have to allow yourself to make mistakes, but you got to learn to love yourself. Because like you can have kids and you love your wife and you love your kids but most of the time they don't love themselves.
Or worse, they don't even like themselves. Like, it's worse to me, and in a way, to not like yourself than to not love yourself. I know some people that really don't like themselves so much, they don't even look in the mirror. They don't like walking past reflective imagery, like, glass and everything like that. Like, they don't like themselves so much. They reject themselves and keep themselves away from, people and, dating or whatever like that, because they, like, what a person just constantly works or whatever like that. Or they can't even be in the house by themselves. Like, they don't like to spend time by themselves because they don't like themselves so much.
Yeah, and that's a big problem. So just to break down the book, right? He breaks down being a comprehensive man, right? And every chapter has something different about it. But he started with the fighter, then provider, then leader, then lover, then nurturer, then the gentleman, then the friend. Then he went to husband, father, and ended with son.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? And like just to dive in a little bit into the first one, the fighter, right? It's because like so many of us just want to fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many of us just want to fight. That's what we know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fight. You ain't gonna disrespect me. I gotta fight you. You know what I'm saying? But the true fighter, they can discern when to engage and when to walk away, and master their ego and emotions to make sure they stay in an advantageous position.
Mm.
And that's a real fighter. You see what I'm saying? Because you have the tools to defend yourself and defend your family, but you know when you need to use them. You know when it is ego. Because there are so many times when you feel disrespected, right? Like, for instance, I'll give you an example from the book. He was talking about, he said his wife called him one day and was like, this man's following her. Instantly, where you at? You know what I'm saying? Go. And she was like, I walked in a gas station so I can be around more people. So he got the address. He immediately jumped in his car, strapped up, on his way there, right? So when he gets there, his wife walks out, right? Walks to the car, and the guy followed her, right? And I would love to meet Jason Wilson so I can really ask him this question, because because I had a question that just, it was so poignant. I need to know the answer, right? Because this is how it went. He followed her out, but when, she got in the car and he asked her, "Are you okay?" He was like, "Are you okay?" She said, "I am now." Now she's not in no danger. But then his ego kicked in. So he gets out the car in a hoodie, with both his guns and his, you know what I'm saying, in the pouch part, and walk up on this dude is like, why you following my wife? And dude is like, I'm not following your wife. Like literally was dumbfounded on what he was talking about. So instantly he didn't like that. He didn't like that response, right?
Right.
And he immediately was like, if you know what I'm saying, if you ever see my wife out and about, you walk the opposite direction. And the look on the dude's face, he described it like he was just like a kid with his hand caught in a cookie jar. Like he had no idea what was really going on, but then he realized how serious it was. So the question I had is like, was he really following her? Did we figure that out? But the thing is, he did that when he could have just pulled away. Now, what if the guy gave him an answer he didn't like? What if he started talking shit to him and then he just killed this dude?
Yeah.
And then, like, it wouldn't really be self-defense then, because your wife's already in the car. She's already in safety.
Right.
So he could have threw away his whole life, what he started with, you know what I'm saying, with these young men that he mentored.
Yeah.
All of that away because of ego.
Yeah. But okay. Yeah, I gotta really get into the story, because it's like, I mean, sometimes you know when you're being followed. And then he even follows her out of the store. Okay, keep going, because I'm really just like, that's serious.
No, very serious. But it's like the guy didn't even know how serious what it was. So like, what if he was literally bought whatever he needed and then happened to be coming out the store at the same exact time?
Right. Like, what if he was just walking down the street, right, and then he ended up behind her because he already went to the store? Yeah.
And then
what's so crazy? That has happened to me, where I thought somebody was following me, and we literally just was going to the same place, but it seemed, because I'm like, okay, you behind me for a long time, and I was driving.
Yeah.
And so, but you know, like, I've had that situation happen to me before. And by the time I was ready, like, okay, as soon as you hit this corner, it's going down. And the person ended up passing me. So that's crazy.
But and don't get it twisted. There's a lot of people that do get followed.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to see who's around, see if they can maybe snatch their purse or whatever it is. So I get, you know what I'm saying, being cautious, but we still don't know what happened. So in another example of that is Christian rap artist named Bizzle. He had a song talking about he was talking about they was driving and it was a car that cut him off. So the car, you know, cut him off and then started slowing up and started looking at him or whatever, all crazy. And he had his wife and his kids in the car, right? And he broke down 3 different scenarios, right? But it was all about ego, right? Like, okay, so now I don't want to be punked. So I got my strap. So now, you know what I'm saying, I'll haul off and shoot this dude and kill him. Now my wife is, you know what I'm saying, is raising the kids by herself. Gotta come and visit me at jail. How does that look? Second scenario. He pull out his strap, the other dude fire first. He think he got hit, but his wife actually get hit and died. So now he has to raise the kids by himself, but it was still all for his ego. And then the third one is he just charged it to the game. And like, all right, whatever, but I'm the bigger man where I don't have to have my ego involved because my wife is here. I don't have to prove anything to her. Now we all go home safe and sound, and it wasn't a big issue about it. You see what I'm saying? So that just like with the fighter, can discern when to engage and when to walk away, and to
Mhm.
master that ego and emotions to make sure they stay in an advantageous position at all times. So, like, so many men, we let our pride or that ego take us there. And until you are able to be transparent with some of the things you dealing with, you won't be able to heal from your past trauma.
Oh yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah. So, I mean, we already know, we already talked about it before on how, we feel as men they trying to get rid of men. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
there still are great men out here.
Mhm.
And even some of the men that haven't healed, when they take the time to move in that direction to heal, they can be great themselves too.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why I always tell people, man, like, it is okay to go sit on somebody's couch. It
No,
is
for
okay
real.
to have phone sessions with a therapist,
Mhm.
because they have that different insight on, it's like the outside looking in. They looking
Mhm.
in, and they're professionals, so they know what to, suggest, or
Mhm.
things they, want you to do. But then you got to be willing to want to put in the work to heal, because
Mhm.
there's no all-time fix. Like, oh, they just go fix me. All right, you go fix me just in these talking sessions. No, you still got to put in the work to help them give you the right tools and use the right tools, and be, what I'm saying, open to bettering yourself. Because once you stuck, because some people, like we go back to the not loving themselves, right? Or not knowing their purpose. That's
Mhm.
another thing. When you don't know your purpose, you
Oh,
you lost.
yeah.
But you got to take the time to really find your purpose, because God gave us all a purpose. Go ahead.
No, I agree.
Mm.
I totally agree with exactly what you're saying. Like, not knowing your purpose. Oh my goodness. It could be very devastated. I can't even imagine from a male. Well, I really can, because I've sat with male and talk about it. Like, I sat with a male one time, one of my mess, and I remember him just like really wondering, why am I here? And he was so emotional, and he was so devastated. He just felt like he just could not get right, no matter what he did, no matter what he tried to do or whatever. He felt like he was a beating bag for the world. Like, always getting in trouble, always getting arrested, always getting fired. And he really was like, what is my purpose, B? Like, why am I here? Why am I living? Like, I, and I know, oh my God, just to hear those words come out of his mouth, and tears. He's wondering, like, why am I here? Kind of movement. Like, if it's,
Yeah.
we all have a purpose, like, it's mine that the world need to beat on me. Like, he was just like questioning God, questioning everything, and something that he had never done before, because he was very religious, actually. And he had grew up that way, but he just never, it seemed like everything he ever tried to do, tried to create, tried to be, excuse me, it just seemed like he just, and it would be massive losses, like, massive, like, beat, the world literally was beating down on him.
Mm.
So I cannot, when you don't know your purpose, it can really ruin you.
It can. Yeah, because then you walking around not knowing your purpose. So now you looking in the wrong places to try to find your purpose. So
And
many
every time you
people,
fail, it just make you feel like you're worthless.
right? No, absolutely. And so many people look for their purpose in the wrong way because of how they grew up. And
Mm-hmm.
well, I have to do this because this is the only way I can get money, or I
Mm-hmm.
have to you know what I'm saying, do this to, you know, feed myself and feed my family? Or why am I not, you know, married by now? You know what I'm saying? Why didn't I have kids? Or I find the right person for me? Like,
Or even look at this too. You see a lot of men that can't find a purpose, and then in a way to feel fulfilled, they are over sexual. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like their greatest accomplishment is getting ass. You know what I'm saying? So they like, oh, you know, if they can get the women, you know, or whatever like that, that fulfills them for the moments that it do fulfill them. Like, okay, I gotta keep, and not that, you know, women are amazing and all the good stuff is good, but you know, like I heard people, you hear it all the time where men were like, I was going after women because I was good at it. Like that's the only thing that I ever been good at is getting ass. And because they didn't know their purpose.
Correct. No, absolutely. And then he breaks down the lover, because when men look at, you know, the lover, it's about pleasing ladies. But then when you find that lady that you can't please, you looking for other women that you can please, right? So now you trading all these soul ties. And that video, I don't know how I missed that video you sent me, but I seen it and I'm like, I ain't had no heart on there, no thumbs up or nothing. And I'm like, wait, I gotta check out this video. This is one of the ones I haven't seen. How he broke down those soul ties. Woo-hoo, man.
Yeah.
You know, because so many people exchange soul ties and they don't get it. So you literally are breaking off fragments and leaving fragments of your soul with them, as well as they are leaving with you. And then a lot of people don't understand that spiritual warfare is real. Go ahead. Come on.
It's so real.
It is.
No, for real.
It is.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you. Like, I really like it's so real. It's like when people talk about like, because what people don't realize is when people are against like spiritual and cultural uprisement or whatever like that, it all runs together. Spiritual warfare, you have to do that shadow work. You have to get down in the whys, in the trauma, in the whatever. You have to talk about it. You have to dig down in it. You got to release the suppression and let all of that energy come up. You have to. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're dealing with, oh God, spiritual warfare, when you're dealing with soul ties, when you're dealing with all of that, like you really don't realize how you take in other people's trauma. So think about that.
Please, let's go into that.
That trauma on top of your own trauma.
Yep.
It is so ridiculous. And this is what I was saying too. I was watching, and I'm gonna go into this to bring it back to this.
Yeah,
when you watch a lot of old movies, like older movies, you know, I love black and whites and stuff like that. Back in the day, before the telephone, they wrote each other letters, right? So they communicated. They communicated through letters. The one thing that they had, right, you know, and then they would read. When you see these movies, these grandparents have these massive amount of letters. Like your grandfather wrote these to me all the time, especially if one person went off to the service or whatever like that. When they courted each other, they called, or you got a gentleman caller, even though there were no phones in that time. You got a gentleman caller. And then they sat on the porch, drank lemonade, or sat out wherever they went, you know, and they communicated or whatever, you know, in such a ways where they got to know each other and know some of the background and some of the energy or whatever like that. People are not doing this anymore. So, you know, when you're going into these relationships, I mean, one night stands, I'm not saying anything wrong with the one night stands or anything like that. But when you're going into some of these situations, you're going into them without knowing, not even sometimes the name, but you don't know what this person has attached to them and who they don't been with before being with you. And that has attached on to them as well.
Absolutely.
So now you are, and as you know, with a man, you are not only, you're injecting all of that into a woman, because men are givers and females are takers, but also if you're kissing her, you're receiving all of that from her as well. People don't realize how serious that can be, when you, and I don't know if you can even testify to it as a male, where you was like, oh yeah, I gotta hit that, and then you didn't feel good afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I ain't talking about like she gave you a burn or nothing like that,
No,
but
yeah, I know
like,
exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
she
No, exactly.
released whatever trauma and fuckery and bullshit she had went through and on you. And it don't even have to be sexual all the time. Somebody could be feeling good, have good energy or whatever like that, and then somebody can call you or bump past you or touch you, and you will be like, yeah, the day, you know, and it's like, dang, what happened? You somebody will be like, you were just pumped up or whatever like that, and somebody don't put all of their energy and frustration and aggravation and trauma and abuse all on you in a matter of minutes. And it can destroy you, because you already, especially if you haven't healed, if you're not in the healing process, you haven't healed your own stuff, you're dealing with suppressed stuff, it could trigger something inside of you. And it's like, how do you shake something that you don't even know that's attached to you?
That's attached to you. Woo. And like, when you just said, the one night stand stuff, and it almost go back to that, if you knew better, you would do better. Once you are able to mature and know so much and know different things, you start to move different. And talking about what you were saying, after being with somebody, having that down feeling after it's done. You know what I'm saying? Where you be like, man, I got to get out of here, or they got to get out of here, or wherever it's at, or whatever. And then so many people, I like that. So many people have those, different, that like spiritual warfare, different demons and different spirits on them. And they can attach to you, and it can bring you down. Like some people, like I tell somebody here, some people never experience depression.
Yeah.
But if they end up having that soul tie with somebody, then they can start experiencing depression when they've never experienced it. And then they try to figure out, why am I depressed and why do I feel this way? Those soul ties.
No, for real.
It's so deep with the mental health and the spiritual realm, because they talk about mental health in the Bible. It's been around. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody was made perfect.
Yeah.
So once people realize that, you can move different. You know what I'm saying?
And let's go into that too.
Go ahead.
Trauma bonding.
Oh gosh, yes. Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
You see a lot of people that trauma, but like, I don't like when people use codependent in a bad way, because I don't think it's wrong, nothing wrong with being codependent with someone that's, if y'all both in an uprising state. But what people confuse, to me, this is just my own vibe.
Talk about it.
They confuse codependence with trauma bonding. And people always push trauma bonding off on women, but more men trauma bond than I see more men trauma bond than women. However, because the woman is going through something, it's easier for them to trauma bond to them. And a lot of men, because they can't express their emotions, or they don't know how to, or they feel weak when they do it, it's easy to tap in or connect onto somebody, even their homeboys, even their friends, that is going through something and been through something. And now all of a sudden you're my best friend because you know what it's like to feel fucked up or to be messed up or anything like that. And then you trauma bond, become like, and y'all both in this energy and you can't uprise off of it, in a relationship. And then when you trauma bond, you take your suffering out on that person and then y'all back and forth.
Yep.
Pushing it back and forth up and nobody's ever healing. It's like having an FTD in a relationship and nobody's ever getting healed from it.
Ain't nobody taking the pill to get rid of it.
Absolutely.
Right. That is a great way to break that down, sis. And then you got to remember, some people trauma bond, men and women, to try, because they had trauma in their life, but then they try to help somebody and think they can save somebody. You see what I'm saying?
Or be saved.
Or be saved. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like go back with the not loving yourself, and then you trauma bond and you think this is love. And now you feel love, you feel like it's love, but it's not, because soon as that person leave or y'all separate from each other or whatever like that, you still don't love yourself.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And oh man, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I know some people, think their purpose is to, save people or to help somebody get on their feet or, be there for that person all the time, no matter what, even though they're not really putting nothing into the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people fall into that trap because they don't have that purpose or don't know their purpose.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody that literally was like, I feel like I don't have a purpose because I'm not taking care of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have a purpose.
I've felt like that. I felt like that as a female.
Mm-hmm. And it was a female that I was talking about. Like they needed to be wanted that way to make sure they can take care of somebody. Like they felt that was their purpose, and if they didn't have somebody to take care of, they felt lost. But that goes back to not healing as well.
Yeah.
You know
now, and it goes back to, and let me elaborate on that. So, okay, when you're not taking care of, okay, I saw this thing and it said, people who were not taken care of when they were younger become the people that take care of people how they want it to be taken care of.
Ooh, say that one more time.
People that was not taken care of well when they were younger become people that take care of people how they want it to be taken care of.
Ooh.
Right? So,
yes.
Boom. I'm a natural nurturer. I am a natural nurturer. Like, I don't care what's going on in public. I don't got to know you if something going on, whatever like that. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys that I dated, we end up doing business together because of the way I did business and how I would do things and be in a way. And we just had this conversation because I'm like, I've been in relationships where it never meant anything because I could be there for somebody. I know what it's like to take care of somebody. Right. But then I have this situation where a person needs nothing from me and they push this energy into me that I'm not even used to. Because this person doesn't need anything from me and this person makes me feel taken care of. Mm-hmm. And it was so like, oh, okay, what's happening here? But I remember, like, when I remember that quote, it's because when you see women or men, sometimes I saw this guy that I used to date back in the day, and we had just stopped talking. And I didn't know why, and I honestly didn't care because that's when I was in a vibe where it was like, okay, where, what I'm saying, I ain't into, keeping niggas that don't want to be kept kind of thing. And that's how I used to think, and I don't even call men that anymore. But so I'm in a vibe, and I'm like, and he was like, hey, you remember? He was like, man, oh my God. He was like, I for real, like, never been dated. Like you dated me. And I was like, I didn't get it. And I was like, oh, okay. He was like, because I'm that nurturer, like, Father's Day, I'm going all out. your birthday, like I don't care. I dated a guy in jail and I made everybody that was visiting and their people sing happy birthday to him. And we couldn't even light a candle. And I made him blow out a fake candle that I made out of the paper that was on his cupcake. I got out there, like I am that person. Like I believe in, like, I'm whatever, but I'm really not a dater. Anyway, he said, because you didn't let me take care of you. That was we stopped dating because I would not let him take care of me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what that meant. And he was like, because you were always moving, you had your business, you always doing this, you always got something going on. Like, okay, I need this done, or whatever like that. Now he gave me money and stuff like that, but he was one of those people that hadn't been taken care of. I was one of those people that hadn't, but I'm like, I got to make sure this get done because I don't got time to depend on nobody else. But he was in effect like he needed to be a provider because that's what he wanted to be, that man that he didn't grow up around. Mm-hmm. And he felt like, and then at first I was like, what? But then just listening, I'm like, wow, I apologize for, doing that to you because he needed to take care of somebody. And he felt like I made him feel like he couldn't take care of me. Mm. And in that process, but I told him, I said, well, I hope you got help for that though. And he said he did. He said, I'm in therapy right now. Have been for over 10 years.
Nice.
And that made me go back into the fact of I have been that person as well. I know a lot of people like that either they don't get, I ain't taking care of nobody. Ain't nobody taking care. I'm taking care of nobody, which is trauma. Or because you weren't taken care of the way you were supposed to be taken care of, you end up taking care of people, you know what I'm saying, and the way that you wanted to be taken care of.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's break down provider real quick from the book. Provider, who ensures the provision of essential resources, guidance, and support for my family, friends, community, and myself. A lot of men look at it, and society does it to us as well. Mm-hmm. What can you provide? What are you bringing to the table? We have to provide for our family. We have to do this for our family. But a lot of times we forget that we are part of that family.
Yes.
And need to be provided for as well. When people stop looking at it as, well, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. When it's still a unit. You know what I'm saying? So once you realize that you are a part of that family, you realize your worth is more than what you can provide or what you can offer to that situation. You know what I'm saying? Because you might be a great listener and have good insight on some of the things people tell you, right? Or you might be one of those people that can, you know what I'm saying, do something with your hands or teach something. Teach somebody else how to use their hands to get the job done as well. So once people, let go of that societal, I have to be masculine all the time. But there's so many different things that you have to be able to do as a comprehensive man. You see what I'm saying? And that and nurturer is on there as well. You know what I'm saying? A lot of men look at nurturing like, oh, I can't be nurturing. That's a feminine trait. Like,
You're right. It's taught that way.
It is
men
taught
are nurturers, women are nurturers.
It's taught that way. But no, everybody has a nurturing side to them. It's a human trait, not a man or a female trait. It is a human trait. And once people are able to tap into all that we have as far as emotions and what we are capable of and what we can do, is when people will start healing and move into that healing process.
Right.
Like I said, that book literally opened your eyes to so many. And I recommend some women to read that book too, because it breaks down some stuff on how so many people are emotionally incarcerated. They don't want to get out of that cell that they put themselves in, and they just want to stay there.
You know, for real. I used to be emotionally selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be very like, and when I say emotionally selfish, I had no time for emotion
Mm.
at all. And I stripped, like in the beginning of being a mother, mind you, I'm a kid with
Mm-hmm.
a kid that has, you know, this pain and, you know, everything like that. I had no time for emotion. I had no time for tears, you know, everything like that. And I would just be, I was just really, really like, what? You know, and it just like, I see a lot of people that are emotionally disconnected. I call it emotionally selfish, but really emotionally disconnected. A lot of men, um, you know, suffer from those energies as well. But I think sometimes it is good for women to read books for men as well, not just for, you know, to help ourselves, but to better understand the man's point of view or what a male is going through. We are, as women, I think women are more selfish than most men. You know, we have a natural selfishness because we've been taught to be a woman a certain type of way, which you can't be. You can't be the same type of all this book saying that all women got to be like this. We're all different, and then you're dealing with a different type of man. So I can't be the woman for you, and then I'm gonna be that same woman for this man over here because, you know, everybody's equipped differently, you know.
Absolutely.
So it is good for women to read books and for men to read books for women so you can better understand the woman because we don't speak the same language,
Right.
you know. And then until you tap into your transparency and your accountability and your vulnerability and all those things, you would, you know, it's going to be hard for anybody to be able to have conversation or comprehend conversation because I know you've dealt with people like this. Or a woman saying something to you and you like, what are you talking about? And she like, I'm expressing something to you, and you're like, that's I don't know, no, and you're rejecting it because you really y'all not speaking the same language. But she's probably even saying the same thing that you're saying,
but you don't understand it. You're not hearing that heart. Mm-hmm.
Right, because she's speaking from an emotional state and you're speaking from a logical standpoint or whatever. And sometimes people don't say, okay, come on, time out. You know, say, I'm not getting what you're saying. And a woman, she would explain herself in clear, but if you have a logic mind without emotion, especially without, you know, any being transparent without holding yourself accountable, it's going to sound like she's blaming you, she's rejecting you, she's, you know, saying you're all wrong and she's not wrong or whatever like that. And it's never going to lock in because, and it's not that people are dumb or anything like that. It literally is, it is two different languages. And if you are not healed and you're dealing with trauma and you don't been through this and you don't had abusive relationships or whatever like that, you're going to always reject what she is saying and she's going to always reject what you are saying.
No, absolutely. You're welcome. And I mean, I think that's vice versa as well. Because like sometimes,
yeah, that's what I said, vice versa.
Yeah, because sometimes you can tell a woman something, or you know, and they take it the wrong way, and a woman can tell a man something and they take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
When you break it down, if you not being open to listen, to their point of view, it's going to end up getting misconstrued. You know what I'm saying? So,
and it could be the simplest thing, and it's like it really would. Like you see that thing going around about Swizz Beatz and Alicia Keys. And I don't really get into celebrity stuff or whatever like that, but Alicia Keys, she was in her interview and she said her and Swizz Beatz don't argue. And people lost their mind. That's stupid. Their relationship ain't real. They trying to be perfect and this and that and the other. And people went on and went on and went on and they just bashed him back. Did she steal him from his wife and all that stuff like that? And I said, you know what? It's so messed up that everybody got to argue. No, you don't. Well, I said, what she said is they don't argue. She didn't say that they didn't have disagreements.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And maybe they had a situation where they were like, as long as we always communicate, you know what I'm saying? Even if we agree to disagree or whatever like that, like people have in their mind, and that's where the music is like that. Everything is like that now. You got to fight. You got to call each other all kind of names. You got to this and like that. We need to fight and fuck. Like all the podcasts, all these little Twitchers and everything like that. They literally videoing themselves fighting their girlfriends, It's all in the music that you're supposed to be. It don't supposed to be like that, because once you don't know their healing process. They've been in music since they were kids. They probably don't been in therapy and everything like that. They probably don't find ways. I don't know if she actually been married, but I know he was married before. That people don't want to make the mistakes that they made, and then they don't need all of that while dealing with the stuff that they got to deal with musically and with kids and everything like that. Absolutely. Just because a person don't argue doesn't mean that they don't disagree.
Right.
So,
because everybody have a disagreement.
Everybody has disagreements. When a lot of people, once you will reach even a certain hill, like to become a great communicator, it is amazing. It is amazing, especially in a relationship when, oh goodness, I like this guy, and I did something he didn't like, and I did it a few times, and it was so amazing to me to have somebody say like, hey, look, this is the type of person that I am. I don't like 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't like when people do that because it don't seem authentic to me. Whatever. When he said that to me, I was just like, oh my God. Like, to have a man that can actually communicate a feeling or a frustration in words to a point where, like, let me make you understand something. And it wasn't rude, it wasn't aggressive, it wasn't anything like that. He literally communicated to me something that I was doing, and I was doing it because I had situations where I'm so used to being rejected for being so much. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you're too much. It's too much fire. You're too feisty. You're too fast and everything like that. So it was like a second guess energy for me. Like, okay, maybe I'm, it's too much or whatever. And to have somebody express themselves to me, communicating like, hey, this offends me. It makes me feel a way. I don't really like that. Something, because now whatever he has been through, that's something that triggered him, but he was able to communicate it to me in a way where, like, for me to understand it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To me, that is the most fire thing. Like, I was just like, oh, like I felt like, wow, and I think that's where a lot of males would like to be. I think that's where a lot of males need to be, because when you can't be like that, it frustrates your mind. Yeah. Even when somebody is telling you, you're not listening to me, I'm explaining to you, I'm saying this is what, like, and then now you're being more aggressive because you don't get it. When you can finally get it, when you can finally communicate, when you can finally comprehend, where you don't have to be arguing, it's like, you see those videos where people be like, yeah, you said something to me yesterday. They be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And they're like, but you, like, yeah, I did do that. I apologize. The person's so ready to fight now, but the person has healed and have become so calm within their presence. They are acknowledging, you know what I'm saying, and holding themselves accountable for how they made that person feel. And the person so ready to fight and so used to fighting and so used to being in toxic energy, they don't even know how to respond to that, the accountability. And I think that's what a lot of people need to get to. And I think that's what Alicia Keys was trying to give people, like, once you have healed and reached a certain level and dashed away all the fuckery in your life and all the bullshit ass people and all the, mad business part, whoever, you know what I'm saying, when you went to therapy or whatever like that, you find yourself in a state of mind and a state of energy where you really can communicate, you really can express yourself, you really can't understand what someone else is saying to you, and you can really you can basically dash out the people or energies that you don't want in your life.
No, absolutely. And just you saying that, I'm gonna break down leader real quick. And this will be the last one I break down today for this episode. But leader who guides and inspires others, know when to speak and when to listen, leading by example, not intimidation.
That's good.
For anybody that's joined in late, I was talking about the book I listened to 4 times now, The Man, the Moment Demands by Jason Wilson. I stand by this book. That book is so amazing and so helpful, and I believe it can help a lot of people, especially men, to break away from that emotional incarceration. Because so many of us have been locked down and locked up, and we have the key to free ourselves. But until you want to be free and put in the work, you will always stay in that box. And we don't need to be in that box.
You have to put in the work. You have to put in the work. Like, it's so crazy. You think you don't, or you think you don't go to one therapy session and you have a breakthrough and you think, oh, I'm healed. Because no, it's so much stuff that we suppress from children. Like me getting my memory back, it's still coming. And some stuff come up and I'll be like, oh, like I'm sick to my stomach. I'm frustrated. I'm hurt. You know what I'm saying? I'm mad at myself. I'm like, why, or anything like those suppressed energies, memories, traumas, or whatever like that. Like, you got to dig them up out like you're digging out the, gutter. Like, you really don't know. Some stuff come up and you be like, when did that happen? So digging into those, reading a lot of books is super important. Going to therapy is super important. Even group sessions. When you hear somebody else's story, sometimes it makes you be like, wow, I'm holding on to this and this person went through that. Sometimes that makes you help you to relieve some of your stuff because it happened to you. Of course it was bad, but when you realize, like, I went through something, but this person really went through something, and I'm sitting over here crying about this. Like, I need to, heal from this. I need to get this out of my circulation. That has also helped me and many people going through group sessions and stuff. Honestly, don't allow yourself to use your traumas either to try to heal other people, because that's what a lot of people do, masculine energy especially. They suppress and hide their traumas and then try to fix or help or be something for somebody else, which make them feel better about themselves, but it doesn't fix the problems and the traumas and the abuse and everything that you're going through.
Correct. Absolutely. So winding down, coming to a head on this episode. I always recommend you go sit on somebody's couch, take a phone session where you ain't even got to see the person if you're okay with that. But take the opportunity to heal. Don't let one bad session or one bad experience or somebody else's bad experience deter you from being the full potential that you can be.
Right.
Take time to put in the work to try to heal, to try to be a better person for yourself. It doesn't make you weird. It doesn't make you a lame, a punk. a sucker, a bitch, whatever you want to put in there, just because you are talking to somebody about, releasing some of that trauma that you have in your past. It is all
Right.
okay to do that, because I'll tell you this: neither one of us on this podcast is weird. Unique, yeah, but not weird because we talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
We not no punk because we taking the opportunity to heal, and we definitely ain't no bitch because I mean it's okay to talk to somebody, man. It is.
It really is. And
is
it's
okay.
not always your friends. It's not always your siblings. It's not always a parent that you need to talk to. Sometimes you need to have somebody that can be right.
Talk to
And that get whole, sides or be like, or whatever like that. Please try to stop work. Please pay attention to trauma bonding. To try your best not to do that. If you can, if you notice it, if you hear this and hear about it, if you read the book, focus on a lot of, self-healing. It's there, yoga. Trust me, we have yoga sometimes and people ball out, even men, and not because of what they're doing, because there are yoga positions and yoga poses that release stuff that you don't want to release. Massage therapy, people, when you see people in the gym, people not working out just because everybody want to be skinny. A lot of people, it is their therapy. Of releasing and just connecting to themselves. And that's one thing, when you find a connection to yourself, when you get that connection, it'll make you want to go to therapy. It'll make you want to find something therapeutic to help you get and become a better you, or become better mentally, or release some of your inner demons and skeletons and trauma and abuse. Even if you're the abuser, it becomes, because sometimes the abuse become the abusers. Tap into that, hold yourself accountable. Like, look in the mirror at yourself and see what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, really look at yourself, because some people, when you're a monster, you don't want to look in the mirror. You don't want to look at, unless you enjoy being a monster. But at that point, then somebody needs to done that. But anyway, when you are ready for healing and when you are ready for uprising or whatever like that, you're gonna have to look yourself in the mirror. And then sometimes when you don't love yourself and you have these things for yourself, look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you love you every day, all day, in the middle of the day, while you on the phone, while you at work, when you in the car, until you start to feel it and believe it.
Absolutely. And don't forget, anything worth working for, anything worth fighting for is involve some hard work. Got to put it in the work. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna come over. But anything worth fighting for, anything worth growing, you got to put in that work. I mean, that's just like the weightlifters. I mean, weight training ain't easy, but they see the results when they stay dedicated and put in that work. Same thing with your mental. Same thing with your mental. You got to put in the work. Then once you start to feel that healing process, it's rewarding. It is very rewarding. Very rewarding.
It is.
Absolutely. All right, let's get up out of here. You already know what we're going to get up out of here with. We got to do the close. Taking off her headset real quick. She in there. So she ain't too loud. On to the close. Something you can ponder on. Until the next time you see us, which will be next week. We coming back next week, y'all. We riding out the rest of this week, rest of this month, with men's mental health. So we'll break down some other things from the book next week as well, and maybe have some video clips that we can break down and stuff like that. But your clothes is something you can ponder on. All right, here we go. I just made this up when we was talking. All right, let's see. You have to forgive yourself in order to start the process to love yourself.
Mm. Mm.
You have to forgive yourself in order to start the process to love yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't break it down if you want to, or I mean, you know, I don't know what you want to do.
Forgiveness leads to self-growth.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm.
it really does. That's the man. Forgiving yourself. Woo! Trust me. Forgiving yourself is, and it doesn't mean that even if that first piece of forgiveness, whatever you feel, whatever happened, whatever you did, whatever somebody, in that first, like that is your stair step to loving yourself, forgiving yourself for more, being and clearing, but dashing away some of the stuff that you'll go through. It is so abundant. That's powerful. I love it.
Oh, that you because you said the step, and it reminded me of a Martin Luther King quote that I just heard today watching The Equalizer. Take that first step without even knowing where that staircase is leading. Sometimes you got to take it.
It's true. It's true.
When I heard that, I was like, ooh.
No, and a lot of us, we be scared like, no, I don't know what's up there. I don't know what's up there.
No, absolutely.
But you have to, because sometimes, trust me, I love that. I really never heard that one before. I like that.
Me neither. And I was like, whoa. I was like, that's dope. I like that one.
Yeah, that's dope.
Listen, thanks for chiming in with us today, y'all. Don't forget, we are brought to you by our sponsor, Twisted Tomato Pizzeria. They got 3 locations, one in Cuyahoga Falls, one in downtown Akron, and the Lewis location. They've probably been there about 3 years now. In Stowe. Make sure you check them out. Mention Just Therapy, the podcast. You receive a 10% discount. Please leave some love, prayers, and positive energy towards the Culver family way, please. Brad, Tony, Cody, Dez. I think those are the siblings. They lost their father not too long ago. I was able to catch the memorial before it ended. So please send them some positive energy, prayers, and good vibes their way, because I know they need it. Yesterday, like they just had the funeral last week, and then Father's Day. So please send that energy to them if you can and if you want to. But listen, thank you so much for joining us on the couch. Hope you missed us. We will be back next week, I promise you. And we'll figure it out once Men's Mental Health in. I know I'm going on vacation, so we'll figure it out. And
I would say the vacation is coming up, and baby girl birthday.
Yeah, vacation, birthdays, all that good stuff coming up. So we'll figure out what we're doing. But we are here. We ain't just go leave y'all hanging like that. So always remember that. And sis, go ahead, talk to them.
If no one has told you today, I love you, I believe in you, and I want you to win.
You already know what I'm going to say. One thing you can never get back, and that is time. And I want to thank you for spending your time with us on the couch today. Yes, indeed. Please take care of your mental health, y'all. Reach into that therapy. Please forgive yourself so you can start to learn the process of loving yourself. We out. Sis. I'll see you next week.
All right, I love you.
Love you too.
Bye, little mama.
MICAH.
Headphones on.
I ain't heard it in so long. I'm like, oh, that's my jam.
Hey, I'll call you.
Welcome to Just Therapy, where we talk about life with a comedy twist. With your hosts, comedian Sean Boyd, Antonio Ferguson, and Miss KT. We talk about a whole bunch of shit, from politics to people actually taking shits. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the therapy session. Man, this be dope. Make a motherfucker want to rap. I can't rap, man. Hold on, here we go. I can't rap. I really can't. but come sit down on the couch with us. Man, I can't rap. Come to the couch. Enjoy the show. Let's go.